The illusion of freedom in choice. Imagine walking into a supermarket to buy a simple jar of peanut butter. You expect a straightforward decision. Grab your favorite brand and be on your way. Instead, you find yourself staring at an overwhelming wall of options: creamy, crunchy, organic, no sugar, reduced fat, almond butter, peanut butter with honey, natural, whipped, and dozens more. What was meant to be a quick errand suddenly turns into a frustrating, time-consuming task. The abundance of choices, rather than making you feel empowered, leaves you confused and paralyzed. This everyday scenario captures a surprising truth about modern life. More choices don't always mean more freedom or happiness. The assumption that increased options lead to better decisions and greater satisfaction is challenged by a growing body of research. Too many options can overwhelm us, making decisions harder and leaving us less content with the choices we make. Psychologist Barry Schwartz explored this phenomenon in his groundbreaking work, The Paradox of Choice. Schwartz argues that while freedom of choice is essential, an overload of options often leads to anxiety, dissatisfaction, and even regret. Instead of feeling liberated by choice, people can feel trapped by the pressure to choose perfectly. So why do so many choices make life harder, not easier? Why does the promise of freedom through options often end in frustration? This paradox invites us to rethink the nature of choice in our lives and challenges the belief that more is always better. The psychology behind decision-making. Our brains rely on two distinct systems when making decisions: System 1 and System 2. These terms come from psychologist Daniel Kahneman's groundbreaking work on human thinking. System 1 is fast, automatic, and intuitive. It handles everyday choices effortlessly, like deciding what to eat for breakfast, or quickly interpreting a facial expression. System 1 operates without much conscious thought, making it efficient for simple or familiar decisions. In contrast, System 2 is slow, deliberate, and analytical. It kicks in when we face complex or unfamiliar problems that require careful reasoning, such as planning a budget, choosing a college, or solving a difficult math problem. System 2 demands more mental effort and attention, as it involves weighing options, evaluating risks, and considering future consequences. When choices are straightforward, System 1 can handle them with ease, sparing System 2 from unnecessary strain. But when we encounter a flood of complicated options, System 2 has to engage heavily, which can lead to cognitive overload. Cognitive overload happens when the brain's working memory is overwhelmed by too much information or too many decisions. This overload drains mental resources, making it harder to think clearly or make good choices. Closely linked to cognitive overload is the phenomenon of decision fatigue. Decision fatigue refers to the deteriorating quality of decisions made by an individual after a long session of decision-making. The brain's capacity to self-regulate and make considered choices diminishes as mental energy is depleted. A famous study highlighting decision fatigue involved parole judges. Researchers observed that judges were more likely to grant parole early in the day or right after a break. However, as the day progressed and judges made more decisions, their likelihood of granting parole dropped dramatically, often declining to near zero, only to bounce back after a rest. This illustrates how decision fatigue can lead to more conservative, impulsive, or avoidant choices when mental energy is low. When decision fatigue sets in, people are more prone to impulsive decisions, opting for immediate gratification, or to decision avoidance, where they procrastinate or defer making a choice altogether. Both outcomes can be problematic, leading to poor life choices, increased stress, or missed opportunities. Understanding the balance between System 1 and System 2, and recognizing the limits of our mental energy, can help us design better decision environments and improve our overall well-being. The paradox of choice in everyday life. We often think having more choices is a good thing. More options mean more freedom, right? But the paradox of choice shows that too many options can actually make decision-making harder and less satisfying. Take the classic peanut butter example. When offered a few varieties, people choose more confidently and enjoy their choice more. But when faced with dozens of peanut butter options, they become overwhelmed, less likely to buy, or less satisfied afterward. This phenomenon extends far beyond the grocery aisle and into everyday life. Consider everyday decisions like what to eat, what to wear, which career path to pursue, or even whom to date. Each decision, seemingly simple, is often complicated by a flood of alternatives. Sheena Iyengar's famous jam-tasting experiment beautifully illustrates this. Shoppers were drawn to a display offering 24 types of jam, yet only 3% bought any. Meanwhile, a table with just 6 varieties attracted fewer people, but led to a 30% purchase rate. People are naturally attracted to more options, but end up feeling overwhelmed, leading to less action. This effect is often called paralysis by analysis. When faced with an abundance of choices, the mental effort to weigh every option can cause stress, procrastination, and even regret after the decision is made. The fear of making the wrong choice or missing out on a better one leads people to delay decisions or feel unsatisfied, even if the choice was objectively good. In the digital age, this overload is everywhere. Online shopping sites offer endless products and endless reviews. Streaming services bombard us with countless movies and shows to pick from. Dating apps present hundreds of potential matches. The result? Many people scroll endlessly, unable to commit or second-guess their choices afterward. One interesting concept tied to this is FOBO, the fear of better options. FOBO causes people to avoid making a choice altogether because they worry that a better alternative might come along later. This fear traps individuals in an endless loop of searching and hesitating, robbing them of satisfaction and progress. In short, while having options is valuable, too many can backfire, causing confusion, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. Understanding the paradox of choice can help us simplify decisions and appreciate the options we do choose. Existential philosophy, the burden of freedom. Existential philosophy delves deeply into the nature of human freedom and the responsibility it entails. Two prominent thinkers in this tradition, Jean-Paul Sartre and Søren Kierkegaard, reveal how freedom, often celebrated as a source of liberation, can paradoxically become a source of anxiety and despair. Jean-Paul Sartre's concept of radical freedom is central to his existential thought. According to Sartre, humans are condemned to be free. We are thrown into existence without predetermined essence or guidelines, and it is up to each individual to create meaning through choices. This radical freedom means there are no external authorities or fixed values to rely on when making decisions. While this offers immense potential for self-definition, it also produces what Sartre calls anguish, a profound anxiety stemming from the awareness that we alone are responsible for our actions and their consequences. This realization can be overwhelming because it removes the comfort of blaming fate, society, or any higher power. To illustrate, consider a college student deciding on a major. Initially, the freedom to choose a path can feel exciting, an open door to endless opportunities. However, as the weight of this responsibility sinks in, that excitement can transform into paralysis. The student may feel trapped by the pressure to choose the right major, knowing this decision could shape their entire future. The freedom to decide no longer feels like liberation, but a burden, causing stress and doubt. This exemplifies Sartre's anguish. Freedom is not simply joyful, but fraught with tension, because every choice carries the weight of personal responsibility. Søren Kierkegaard, a 19th-century philosopher often regarded as a precursor to existentialism, also wrestled with the complexity of freedom. He famously described the dizziness of freedom using the metaphor of standing on the edge of a cliff. Just as looking down from a great height can cause vertigo, contemplating the infinite possibilities life offers can induce a paralyzing fear. This dizziness represents the overwhelming nature of choice, where the sheer number of options leads to uncertainty and hesitation. Kierkegaard highlighted that this freedom is a double-edged sword. While it can empower, it can also trap us in indecision. Together, Sartre and Kierkegaard demonstrate that freedom is not an unmitigated good. Instead, it can feel like a trap, where the lack of guidance and the endless possibilities create anxiety rather than joy. Existential freedom demands that we confront ourselves fully, bearing the burden of choice alone, which can be both liberating and deeply unsettling. Modern life examples of choice. Overload. In today's world, the sheer volume of options can feel overwhelming, creating a phenomenon known as choice overload. This is especially evident in several key areas of modern life, including career decisions, dating, and social media engagement. Career choices today. The modern workforce presents an unprecedented array of career paths. Gone are the days of a linear, lifelong career at one company. Instead, thousands of industries, roles, and remote work opportunities have multiplied the choices available. The gig economy adds even more flexibility, but also complexity, as people juggle freelance jobs, side hustles, and contract work. While this diversity can be empowering, it can also lead to career paralysis, a state where individuals feel stuck or overwhelmed by the pressure to choose the right path. Career hopping is common, but the fear of making the wrong choice can cause anxiety and indecision, sometimes delaying important career moves or causing dissatisfaction with current roles. Dating apps. Dating apps illustrate choice overload in the realm of relationships. With endless potential matches just a swipe away, users face a paradox. More options don't always mean better outcomes. The abundance of choices can make commitment difficult, as people worry there might be someone better just a swipe away. This leads to a fear of missing out, FOMO, causing many to avoid deep connections in favor of keeping options open. The result? Superficial engagements, shortened attention spans, and difficulty in establishing meaningful, long-term relationships. Social media and identity overload. Social media platforms amplify choice overload by exposing users to a flood of lifestyles, values, and ideals. People are pressured to curate perfect online personas, often juggling multiple facets of their identity to appeal to different audiences. This constant comparison to others' highlight reels fosters insecurity and self-doubt, as few can realistically meet the standards set by filtered, edited posts. The need to maintain an idealized identity adds mental strain and emotional fatigue, contributing to a collective sense of loneliness despite constant online connectivity. Psychological toll. The cumulative effect of choice overload in these areas often results in anxiety, self-doubt, and loneliness. When faced with too many options, people struggle to make confident decisions and may second-guess themselves after the fact. The pressure to optimize every choice, from careers to relationships to online personas, can create chronic stress. Ironically, the very technologies designed to connect us and expand opportunities may leave us feeling isolated and uncertain about who we truly are and what we want. In sum, modern life's endless options offer freedom, but also burden individuals with complex, sometimes paralyzing decisions, impacting mental well-being in profound ways. The psychological consequences of too many choices. In today's world, the abundance of choices, whether in consumer goods, careers, or lifestyles, can paradoxically lead to negative psychological outcomes such as regret, self-doubt, and chronic dissatisfaction. When faced with an overwhelming number of options, individuals often struggle to make decisions that feel truly satisfying, creating a mental burden rather than liberation. Barry Schwartz, a prominent psychologist, introduced two key concepts that illuminate how people cope with choice overload: maximizers and satisficers. Maximizers strive to find the absolute best option in any situation. They invest significant time and effort researching, comparing, and weighing alternatives, driven by the belief that the perfect choice exists and must be found. However, this relentless pursuit often backfires. Maximizers tend to overthink decisions, second-guess their choices, and experience intense regret over what they might have missed. This chronic dissatisfaction leads to heightened stress and reduced happiness. In contrast, satisficers adopt a more pragmatic approach. They look for options that meet their criteria for good enough rather than the perfect solution. This mindset enables satisficers to decide faster and with less mental strain. Because satisficers accept satisfactory outcomes, they generally feel more content and less prone to regret, even when better alternatives exist. Their decisions bring greater emotional ease and sustained satisfaction. Empirical research supports these distinctions. A study published in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin found that maximizers reported higher levels of depression and lower levels of life satisfaction compared to satisficers. Another experiment showed that maximizers experienced more regret and lower post-decision happiness after purchasing products, whereas satisficers remained more satisfied over time. The cognitive load of trying to identify the best choice not only prolongs decision-making, but also amplifies negative emotions associated with doubts and what-ifs. Ultimately, too many choices can impair well-being, particularly for maximizers who grapple with the fear of missing out on a better option. In contrast, satisficers' acceptance of good enough often leads to healthier mental states and greater life satisfaction, illustrating the importance of mindset when navigating today's complex decision landscape. Strategies to overcome the paradox of choice. In today's world, the abundance of choices can often feel overwhelming, leading to decision fatigue and dissatisfaction, a phenomenon known as the paradox of choice. Fortunately, several effective strategies can help navigate this dilemma and restore peace of mind. Limit choices with routines and boundaries. One of the simplest ways to reduce decision overload is to limit everyday choices through routines and clear boundaries. By automating trivial decisions, you free up mental energy for more important matters. A famous example is Steve Jobs, who wore a uniform of black turtlenecks and jeans every day. This minimalist wardrobe eliminated the need to decide what to wear, saving time and reducing cognitive strain. Similarly, meal prepping is a practical strategy many use to avoid daily decisions about what to eat, streamlining nutrition and freeing mental bandwidth. Adopt a satisficing mindset. Instead of striving for the elusive perfect choice, adopting a satisficing mindset means embracing options that are good enough. This approach prioritizes satisfactory solutions over ideal outcomes, helping reduce stress and indecision. By recognizing that perfection is often unattainable or unnecessary, you free yourself from constant doubt and the paralysis of endless comparison. Commitment equals freedom. Paradoxically, making a firm commitment to a choice can actually increase your sense of freedom. When you fully commit to an option, you eliminate second-guessing and regret, which often stem from lingering doubts about what if. Commitment brings clarity and peace, allowing you to invest your energy in making the best out of your decision rather than worrying about alternatives. Set time limits for decisions. Another useful technique is time boxing, setting strict deadlines for making decisions. This method combats paralysis by analysis by forcing you to choose within a defined time frame. Whether it's deciding on a purchase or choosing a career path, time limits prevent endless deliberation and encourage action. Over time, this builds confidence in your decision-making abilities. Focus on meaningful decisions. Finally, apply the 80-20 rule to focus your energy on the most impactful choices. Spend time and effort on decisions that significantly affect your life, such as career, relationships, and health. Let go of trivial decisions that have little long-term consequence, like what to watch on TV or minor purchases. This selective focus not only reduces decision fatigue, but also ensures your attention is reserved for what truly matters. By incorporating these strategies, individuals can navigate the paradox of choice more effectively, reducing anxiety and increasing satisfaction with their decisions. Limiting choices, adopting satisficing, committing fully, setting decision deadlines, and prioritizing meaningful choices are practical tools that transform overwhelming freedom into empowering clarity. Conclusion: reclaiming happiness through simplicity. In today's world, the paradox of choice has become increasingly evident. Although we are surrounded by more options than ever before, this abundance often leads not to greater happiness, but to overwhelm, doubt, and dissatisfaction. The more choices we face, the harder it becomes to feel content with our decisions. Instead of empowerment, excessive options can foster anxiety and regret, leaving us trapped in a cycle of indecision. Understanding this paradox is crucial if we want to regain control over our lives. Recognizing that unlimited choice does not equate to unlimited happiness allows us to step back, prioritize what truly matters, and set meaningful boundaries. By consciously simplifying our decisions, whether in daily routines, purchases, or life goals, we reduce mental clutter and open the door to clearer thinking and deeper contentment. Ultimately, reclaiming happiness is less about having everything and more about appreciating enough. When we focus on what genuinely fulfills us, rather than chasing every possible opportunity, we discover real freedom, satisfaction, and peace of mind. Simplicity isn't about deprivation, It's about clarity and intention. So, the question remains, in a world full of endless possibilities, what are you willing to let go of to truly find happiness? How might your life change if you chose less, but chose better?